Let me also bring on board Mr. U.R. Bhatt of Dalton Capital Advisors. Mr. Bhatt, good morning and thank you for joining us. Last time when we interacted with you on this forum, you were of the view that look, markets are fairly priced, they will not go anywhere, and markets have not gone anywhere.
Fantastic. For a change, I'm right.
When will they go somewhere? Or when will they go higher?
Well, for them to go higher, I think we need some policy action. Because till now, it has been running on hope. So really, nothing much has been delivered except more and more policy frameworks being developed. So I think once the policies get implemented, once you have entrepreneurs going back to the drawing board and looking up and planning new projects, that's when I think there will be confidence back in the market, and this will sustain. Till then, we have international issues like things in Iraq and all that. How these things are going to shape up. That will decide the course of action, because right now there is not so much of news flow domestically, because the quarterly results are almost over and budget is over. So there's nothing much really to look forward to except for the August 15th address.
Now the PM speech.
Yes.
I've been told that this time the speech would be a special one.
Good. So that can give a flip to the market.
You really think so? Because the market has been attempting to break out.
I know, but I don't know. Generally the August 15th speech will be about the Aam Aadmi. That may not really interest the market too much. He's not going to announce any great policy measure as far as corporates are concerned, or as far as economics is concerned there. I think it will be more of something that addresses the concerns of the common man.
No, but even in terms of specific policy measures, what could be a breakout trigger for the market? What specifically in policy measures? Because it doesn't seem like we're going to get a rate cut anytime soon. There's of course a gas price hike decision which is going to be playing up on the market's mind. And growth, yes, the IP numbers are showing some traction, but you again, you're not clear on the timeline on when it'll actually pick up. So what do you think in terms of policy decisions could change the market mood or lead to that breakout?
Well, I think it is not something that is not one policy announcement that can change the mood.
For the near term at least?
As I said, it will be basically clearance of all the backlog of approvals and giving the confidence to entrepreneurs to go back to the drawing board and announce new projects. I think that has been lacking for the last about almost 18 months.
But when do you see that happening?
That can happen because if you see incrementally things are changing. Incrementally things are changing. Say for example, auto numbers have been good, IIP number is good. At least inflation is not going up. For a change, it is at least falling down a wee bit though. So I think these things are the incremental positives. Plus, of course, there is a lot of hope that he is doing whatever. I mean, he's basically doing some stock taking now to see what can be done to change things. I think once things start changing, I think the confidence will come back to the market. As it is, the huge debt equity mismatch is being corrected by so many new issues in terms of QIPs, and so therefore I think things are getting better.
Whereas large part of our conversation is still dominated by local cues, what the India government will do, should do, what Prime Minister Modi can achieve in his tenure. What worries me is really the global setup. Globally things are not looking all that charged up. Economic numbers by and large have been mixed, and let's be real, we can't ignore geopolitical problems for long. We've been ignoring them for long, but can we afford to ignore them much more?
Well, yes, but I think Iraq is a big flashpoint that needs to be kept a close watch on. But things in Ukraine seem to be slightly getting better. But Iraq is something even President Obama has said it is not short term, it is going to be there for a long term. So therefore I don't know whether because the market will learn to live with this after some time. Initially when you saw that he started bombing, I think the market reacted, but after that he said that he's going to be there for the long term, no quick fixes there. So that means I think the market will get used to this and get to learn to live with it.
I like to draw your attention to autos. Auto dispatch numbers have been strong for June and for July, and festival demand has not kicked in. I wonder what will happen if the festival demand will kick in.
Well, I think people will get more excited, and that is actually the precursor to business confidence and to new investments. So therefore, I think the festival demand should kick in. It is, it's early yet. I mean, this festival season yet to start. So I think, given the indication the last 2 months, I think festival demand will start kicking in.
So auto is a blind buy then?
I think auto is the first. I mean, they are early cyclicals. So therefore, the early cyclicals are giving indication that things are going reasonably well. And so therefore, I think thereafter we'll see the late cyclicals after a quarter.
Two-wheelers never felt the pinch of slowdown, but four-wheeler is where all the pain was. And Maruti has come out with a strong guidance for FY15. Are four-wheelers more like a more like a first port of call for those who are betting on economic recovery, for those who are betting on consumer demand stroke discretionary spend?
Absolutely. I mean, these are the indications. But I think those who really are more aggressive, I think they should look at even HCVs because that is the next sort of turnaround story that we would see.
What about the oil and gas space right now? How are you positioned there, especially for upstream as well as downstream companies?
These are all policy-led, so therefore, unless the policy really changes, and so therefore, I think a policy change can create huge wealth here. So therefore, I think one cannot be absent in the sector, but one needs to be somewhat neutral, I think, so that whenever there is a policy change, one could probably increase the weight.
What about IT? I believe you're overweight on IT due to currency
IT,
depreciation.
because the dollar strength, because of things improving in.
Do you think the rupee can go beyond 62?
Possible, I think, given the dollar strength and given the uncertainty in the Middle East, typically the dollar is a gainer in all these uncertainties. So therefore, I think the rupee can probably depreciate a bit more to the advantage of IT.
Your sense of how things are shaping up on the business side for PSU banks, because they've had a rally, a trading rally, so to speak, but structurally things are still not, bottoming out in terms of the cleanup.
Well, I think the public sector bank problem is what they call capital confusion, because the government wants to divest, it looks like, and these public sector banks have to raise money. So I don't know whether there is enough appetite in the market for both of these. So I think the government has to hold back and see that these banks, to whatever limited capacity they can, they should raise money from the market and have enough capital to grow. That is more important than the government divesting, because government has other things also to divest. But I think there is a complete confusion on this, because every time the government talks, it talks about divestment of public sector banks, whereas I think divestment will not get these banks any capital. So therefore, there is a complete confusion on that. So I think that is one of the big issues that needs to be sorted out. Of course, you have the problem about stressed assets that don't seem to be really hitting the bottom yet. I think we still have probably one more quarter of pain. And thereafter, let us see. The delta there can be very high. So therefore, I think one needs to time one's entry perfectly. And if one does that, I think there's a lot of money to be made.
And the Bush and Steel example is a big eye-opener. That just tells you how poor the private sector banks lending has been. 8,000 crore single exposure by SBI to Bush and Steel. That will become NPA. Sorry, public sector banks. That will become an NPA going forward.
Well, at least they are taking some proactive measures to see whether they can get someone to manage this. But that is always a problem. Large steel plants, large power plants, they all have been financed by the big banks. So therefore, even one of them going bad will hit them very badly. But I think, at least the nation needs those assets. So therefore, someone has to manage it and make it profitable. So whether the management is the same or someone else, that doesn't matter.
But are you bullish in PSU banks right now? I mean, which way?
I think it's too early.
Do you think it is half full or half empty, the glass?
It is somewhere in between now. But I think in one quarter, I think one has to take a big call, because I think this capital confusion needs to be sorted out. Once there is clear articulation of what the thought on capital infusion is, I think that's the time one could probably go along on this.